Thousands who fled the farmers and herdsmen crisis in Benue State make their way home as increased military personnel give residents the confidence to move back.
The human cost of war in South Sudan. With more than 400,000 killed, it's counted among the worst conflicts the world has seen.
Washing away malaria. In Uganda, it's the #1 infectious disease killer. Can the problem be solved with mosquito repellent soap? Africa 54 starts right now.
Hello and welcome to Africa 54, the show that goes around the continent to bring you stories near and far. I'm Anne Onwawadua, Channels Television here in Lagos. I'm joined by Vincent McCory at Voice of America in Washington.
Well, thanks a lot. I'm Vincent McCory at our global headquarters in Washington, D.C. Happy to be with you again for another edition of Africa 54. We begin with the story of 27,000 Benue IDPs returning to their homes. And Wagoduo in Lagos brings you that story.
That's right. At least 27,000 internally displaced persons who fled violence during the farmers' herdsmen crisis in Benue State have returned to their communities. And that's according to the chairman of Logo local government area, which hosts the Anyin camp where they left. The return of the residents is made possible by a military operation codenamed World Stroke, as increased military presence is giving residents the confidence to move back.
Structures like these at the Abagana IDP camp in Makurdi, the Benue state capital, were erected to shelter victims of the 2012 flooding, but automatically became home to people fleeing attacks on their communities by armed herdsmen as of January 2018. Inhabitants of similar settlements in the state, such as Anyin Camp in Logo local government area, which previously had as many as 34,000 IDPs, made up a total number of almost 180,000 displaced persons living in 8 camps across the state. But the camp is becoming empty by the day as people return to their respective communities. 27,000 of them have left for their villages in Abande and Swarev. The reason is not far-fetched. Increased military presence, which residents confirm, made their return possible.
There were altogether about 35,000 and some fractions in this place. But with the coming of these people, about the White Stroke, Operation White Stroke, about 27,000 and some fractions have returned to their homes, ancestral homes, and are now going on with their farming. We have about 7,000 remaining here on the camp.
Troops of the military operation codenamed World Stroke were deployed in May to rid the area of security threats, and according to the military, they have been successful.
The armed herdsmen that usually cross all the way from Nasara, they've all been pushed back away, back to Nasara due to our operations. So for now, there is no security challenges for now.
There have been many cases of attacks in some other parts, such as in Guma and Gwa West local government areas. But the operations commander gives residents the assurance that such places will be safe by December 2018.
Some of the areas where we are still having some level of security challenges, we are working day in, day out to ensure that before December, everybody who is in this camp should have vacated this place and go back to their respective homes.
The military says it has cleared most of the hideouts of perpetrators of crime in the state and will continue to ensure security to enable those still living in camps to return to their communities and resume their normal lives.
Well, there are reports that there are many internally displaced persons in Benue State, apart from those living in official camps. To get a clearer picture of the situation there, we're now being joined by the Executive Secretary of the Benue State Emergency Management Agency, Mr. Emmanuel Shior. He joins us from Makurdi, the Benue State capital. Thank you so much for joining us on Africa 54. Now, we know that Benue State recorded a high number of internally displaced persons earlier this year owing to the floods and the farmers and herders crisis. But how has the state authorities been able to handle the situation there so far?
It has not been easy with the state government managing the huge humanitarian situation in Benue. The flood this year has not affected Benue so much, though a few communities have been affected. And then that adds to the bigger problem, which is as a result of Fulani Herdsmen attacks on innocent farmers in the rural areas, resulting to numerous IDPs camps in Benue.
All right, but with a number of people set to be returning home already, what is the exact status of displaced persons in the state at the moment in terms of numbers?
At the moment, we have 6 official camps, but there are IDPs in unofficial camps in different locations and in different host communities. The number we have always quoted about 180,000 or 200,000 IDPs in the camps. But we have done a recent update that we are analyzing, and we hope to share the data with the public by next week, which is about over 500,000 displaced people across Benue State in different locations, different communities in Benue State. So that is for the issue of data. Okay. On the issue of returning IDPs that are returning home, we cannot at this point, it's difficult for me at this point to give a specific number. The reason being that the attackers are still here. They are still occupying the villages and the homes that displaced people. Though the governor, before now, directed me to start a campaign of encouraging IDPs to return back to their homes.
Now, people will want to know how the welfare of these people can be improved. How can the welfare be improved while they remain in such settlements?
In terms of welfare, the government of Benue State is living up to its responsibility by mobilizing my agency to provide food and non-food relief material to IDPs. We have been trying, but I want to use this opportunity to draw the attention of federal government that state government alone cannot do this effectively.
And finally, when such people return to their communities, the issue now becomes recovering from losses already made. What plans are there to help the returning IDPs resume their previous livelihoods, which, of course, for the most part, is farming?
Federal government is supposed to come in. When the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Professor Osibanjo, visited Benue, he promised that they were going to do some housing units for IDPs to help them have a place to settle before governments will put in place an elaborate plan. We have not seen him return back to Benue State since he came and made that promise. On the part of our state government, the camps are still there. We have not crossed them. But the state governor is thinking of security first. The security has not been has not improved as it should. Operation White Stroke is actually trying, but they need to step up their operations by patrolling the places that are affected, patrolling and moving into the hinterlands. When they stay by the roadside and allow the headers, the attackers to occupy the hinterlands, it's difficult for IDPs to return back to such places. So that is the challenge that we have in our hands.
Emmanuel Shior, Executive Secretary of the Benue State Emergency Management Agency, thank you so much for your time today at Africa 54.
Well, I want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we cover. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa 54. And check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Coming up, teachers in Adamawa State get training to help ease trauma in the wake of Boko Haram insurgency.